Here we go with RIAT 25, the flying program. The Royal Danish Air Force, F18A Fighting Falcons. With deliveries of the flyable ones set to start later this year.
It's good that
Since coming into service initially with the United States Air Force in 1978, the F-16 has been flown by 25 other nations from Norway to Chile and Morocco to Singapore. In 2023, second show of the day, hopefully in better weather, though the condensation effects might not be quite so spectacular by then, towards the end of the flying programme. So go and see the team and tell them how much you enjoyed that show opening display by the Royal Danish Air Force F-16 AM. Here at RIAT 22, the other in the red and white search and rescue scheme. And this is a rock demonstration, but also with a real sense of showmanship about it. So the English translation for Sokol is Falcon. It's a medium-sized, twin-engine, multi-purpose helicopter designed and manufactured by Polish helicopter company PZL Spinning, now owned by Leonardo. It was the first helicopter entirely designed and produced in Poland. And the train is descending the spiral, ready to come and pick up the two survivors on a short wire. And we can see the number 2 Sokol providing cover for that. So here's the number 1, the red and white helicopter, coming in to effect the recovery. Normal recovery, because normally you might see them being taken fully into the helicopter. So in the times that I've been plucked out of the North Sea by a helicopter, I was winched into the helicopter and then given a cup suit and enjoyed the ride, but certainly not the ride that we're being seen here. This synchro pair display of the two sides, and they'll be converging on one another for the next part of this very spirited programme. Major Antonin Petru, also a seasoned helicopter exponent in the Czech Air Force, and he's in his 5th season in the Sokol display team, whereas the team leader, Petr Safarek, is notching up his 10th season. The other crew members of the camouflage helicopter are the co-pilot First Lieutenant Katarina Kargosova and the flight engineer Warrant Officer Radek Svetlik. Now it's carousel time. They've turned to face one another. They call this the merry-go-round. And utility of this lovely helicopter, unsurprisingly, has turned it into an export success story, with aircraft types being sold to Algeria, Chile, the Czech Republic, Myanmar, the Philippines, Poland, South Korea. 2 going first, followed by number 1, and they'll be coming back in to conclude this really, really well choreographed and well executed display. described very beautifully as a periodic aileron roll, or a 4-point roll as we would call it. Transitioning into a barrel roll. And setting up now for the slow speed parts. So the aircraft is accelerating to about 120 knots, which is about 140 miles per hour. At a height of 4 units of high alpha. Scrambles against Russian aeroplanes in recent years. But nonetheless, as you can see, it remains a very, very capable aeroplane. This, in the hands of Captain Dilek, centre stage now, and an aircraft that's become a regular sight at RIAT from the German Army. It's the NH Industries NH-19 TT-8 Tactical Transport Helicopter. Practical application for this aircraft. That's not an airshow that you can see there. That is to protect the aircraft and the crew from ground flight. And the German NH-90s, which have mainly replaced the Bell UH-1D 0183 in that Air Arms service, has been very operational. Upside down, meaning proof of the total control delivered by its cutting-edge digital flight system.
Spartan Bay is an introduction. Its performance speaks loud and clear, a perfect mix of power, aerodynamics, structural strength, and does it all. A proud history and exactly 30 knots. Entry altitude, 500 feet.
Yeah. But then I've learned as a dad, you just have to
The Royal Australian Air Force had flown the Spartan for over a decade, from the searing heat of the outback to the tropical rainforest of Papua New Guinea. Operated by the 35th Squadron, is known affectionately as Wallaby Airlines. It fills the gap between helicopters and heavy lifters, like the Hercules and Globemaster. Short runways, rough strips, remote islands. The aircraft gets in and out fast, delivering real-world effects when every second counts.
The aircraft will also be turned around very quickly between missions. It only takes about a quarter of an hour if it's operating in the air-to-air role.
But the short landing you see here is part of the development requirement, which was for the aircraft to operate from snow-covered landing strips just 500 metres. All of this will be achieved without reverse thrust, without a brake tube, just a pair of enormous carbon fibre brakes.
And the aircraft flown for us today by SARS test pilot Martin Donaldson will be at the Big Pilot area towards the eastern end of the showground at 3 o'clock today.
Just lined up and performing takeoff checks and engine run up. The pressurization, ladies and gentlemen, the green, white, and red, the Italian flag. Thrust setting, brake release, ordered by the team leader, and then go. Acceleration during the takeoff goal. Rotation is starting as acceleration on the runway. The rotation this time would be at 115 knots. This will be the great separation of the car and the oil. Green with red, it was the winner roll, and then Apollo 313. Gently around this axis as if it were a single giant lifter along about 200 feet. This was the graceful right rudder roll double H formation. The solo pilot decides to have nose down and then going up, climbing vertical, like right in the smokes of the main formation, and inserts in the separation of the two sections. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the wreck of the Arizona. Yeah. Pony number 2, Captain America Ruzzi, and Pony 3, Captain Giovanni Morello, roaming around. used by our first slot for the number 6, Captain Simone Pancarillo, then Tonic number 7, Captain Luca Montani, Tonic number 8, Captain Luca Battistoni. It wasn't fine today, but let's congratulate please also for our second slot, Tonic number 9, Captain Alessandro.
Departing off to the left-hand side, they'll be transitioning into one more wing over, and then they'll be setting up for a running landing. Running landing flying this aircraft as it taxis over to the right-hand side. This will now be a good chance to show off a good little Chinook party piece. This is one of the only helicopters in the world that can reverse on 2 wheels. As the aircraft lifts once more, Dave the Wave is going to have the best seat perhaps. He's on the ramps looking out at all you lovely people here today. In case you can't spot him, he's the one waving a gigantic orange hat. Those are definitely his real hands, and he can be quite embarrassed about them, so please be sure to give him a big wave as he goes past. Flashing of the landing lamps by co-pilot CJ and a bow from the crew. There it is. We'll now watch the incredible Gorny climb. Named after the base in Bosnia where the Chinook demonstrated its incredible power, dominating other helicopter types during the Kosovo War. It's a match performance climb to be followed today by a corkscrew departure. Time everyone, please put your hands together for the 2025 Chinook roll demonstration. See you. Thank you very much, Robert, with a full position. The A400 is sized between the C-130 Hercules and the Boeing C-17 Globemaster. However, it can carry significantly heavier loads than the C-130 and can use rough landing.
For a pass designed to simulate a visual check of a simulated drop zone at a speed up to 285 knots.
The ability to carry a 30-ton payload over 2,500 nautical miles, both established and remote civilian and military airfields, or by landing on short stretches with a maximum payload of 37 tons. Reaching a maximum bank angle somewhere in the region of 60 or so degrees during this display, it can attain a maximum of 120 degrees, which we've seen demonstrated by Airbus test pilots in the past. We have, but I think we might see angling back up to about 90 towards the end of this display. Very spirited from an aircraft of that size. The Luftwaffe first used its A400 in a combat theatre in airdrop configuration on the next pass, with the rear cargo ramp open and the door, slowing the aircraft to around 115 knots. announced then that the steam bank would be invisible, unfortunately, for most of us on a ship.
Aircraft up to peak descent, and we'll see a full stop landing aided by the powerful automatic brakes. Of the Swedish Air Force. A large number of units of US Army Europe in Germany. Another unique thing that you're never going to see at another air show is a gear up pass. This time I believe the senior staff is on their supervisors on the way. What about those configuration of this one? Whether they carry different examples. After the gear up pass, we're going to a high key. It's going to be a no-flap simulated flame-out approach. So what's happening now is the pilot is simulating that the engine has failed and a loss of hydraulics, which aids in drag in the airplane. Now, while the aircraft is in mission fit for this demonstration, I'm expecting that the pilot is not in mission fit himself in terms of what he's wearing in the cockpit. So because the pilot isn't going to be going above Armstrong's line today, he will not be in, as we call it, a space suit, but he will be in just a classic flight suit. He's going to look like every other pilot. Unfortunately for him. So the profile that you're seeing now is what the U-2 would be doing if it had an actual plane. They're doing there, they're telling the pilot how far above the runway they are, typically from 10 feet down to the runway. And you count down in 2s, 10, 8, 6, and so on. The rate at which the mobile officer is making those calls tells the pilot a lot as to how he needs to react. And it's more than just a radar altimeter. It tells the pilot more left rudder, left rudder. Picture there, we can see the car entering the runway. Sipping a cup of tea. Very nice indeed. And people can get up close to one in the more standard fit in the static park. That's right, the clean airplane is that we usually use for pattern operations is over in static, and you can absolutely go take a look at that.
And again, where else would you see that? They can also take a look at your aeroplane. It happens to be sitting very close by. It's a 1939 Fairchild Market. That's right, people didn't know. Well, Popeye, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Do thank the crew who put on that demonstration, and we hope the wind conditions are suitable for a repetition tomorrow. What's all it does? Scott Thompson there, helping me talk through a tremendous... And it's going to be followed by a very vertiginous nose over. Descending to 100 feet and accelerating to about 100 knots. So there's a final pass from the Leonardo 871 of the 14 Air Force Squadron 751. And of course, very familiar in UK service nowadays, all with the, of course, the RIAT Poseidon to follow. And here's the Atlantique on the roll, going off to hold before coming back to perform a really, really good display. With the procurement of this, running in from the right, the Boeing Poseidon MRA-1 from number 120 Squadron at RIAT Lossiemouth. And we see it with the weapons bay open, which isn't a configuration I've seen during a Poseidon fly past before. No, the regulates on hitting the water. In for its second pass now. That rescue kit visible in the weapons bay. Atlantique's also installed. During Operation Shamal, French operations against the so-called Islamic State in Syria and Iraq, Atlantiques have supported French fighter bombers from both the Navy. Bringing the aircraft in now for a search and rescue support configured pass.
a bunch of civilian air traffic controllers working hand in hand with the display director, Jonathan Price, and also...
And now,
thank you so much.
aviation with the RIAT's newest aeroplane, the Boeing Wedgetail AW1, the RIAT version of Boeing's E7 Wedgetail, airborne early warning and control variant of the 737-700. And here they come, in from the right, the Wedgetail and the Red Arrows.
And they take it from there, and like they meet twice a week. So.
who's 14 today. Team now put themselves into 9 Arrow. The smoke comes on for 9 Arrow presents, once again, it's the Red Arrow. On the right, on the red one, is Red 2, Red 2, Thomas. Oh, this is his first year on the team. Uniquely, he was taken from training by maybe to an instructor on the home team. To the left-hand side of that centre stand is Red 3, Lieutenant Andrew McEwen, known as Macca. He flew the aviation on exchange with the United States Marine Corps, before then coming back to the UK and joining the world-famous 617, the Dambuster Squadron, at RIAT Forum, where he flew the... But watch for the colour change as Red 1 brings them down the line. Red 6 and 8 go off to our left-hand side, Red 7 and 9 go off to our right-hand side. And the signal there. Red 2 on the right-hand side is Red 8 as he spears the hard. Red 8 is Lieutenant Rich Walker, an very experienced aviator. He's flown Harrier, he's flown Typhoon, and he's also been a qualified flight instructor on the Hawk Team of 2. Once again, you can see us trailing our famous red, white and blue. Not only here at RIAT are we flying with synthetic aviation fuel, it's 100% blend. Red 6 and 9 being inverted from the 30 seconds
And what you'll see on the spine of the aircraft is a large fin housing the Northrop Grumman meter, multi-role electronically scanned array sensor. This and the onboard communications suite allow the 10-strong mission crew to provide tactical control to other assets using voice communications and the tactical data link. It's able to track airborne and maritime targets simultaneously. In from the right then, the new Wedgetail AW1. Great flexibility in bringing it into the program today. And here it is, in from the right for a go around. Well, what a splendid sight. EA330 LXs of the Royal Jordanian Falcons getting airborne to initially position before tipping in for a really high quality 4-ship aerobatic display. Describing the inside of an imaginary barrel laying inside in the sky. What a tight formation this is, led for the 2025 display season by Jamil Zaya, who first joined the Royal Jordanian Falcons back in 2002. He is currently the Director of Operations and leader of the team. In fact, he first assumed leadership back in 2005 and has returned to the role on various occasions since. He joined the Royal Jordanian Air Force in 1992, graduated from its King Hussein Air College. 3 years later, as a fighter pilot, he has past experience on the Northrop F5 and the Dassault Mirage F1. So, out from that wing over to the right, and coming back in down the display line, we'll see a subtle change in the formation now. Aerobatic squad, the équipe de voltige de la paix de l'air et de l'espace. But here we see the Royal Jordanian Falcons, again exiting inverted in front of us as they head towards the display line, and they're going to be performing this time an inverted turn. Absolutely no fly-by-wire protecting the aircraft from the pilot's influence whatsoever. All push tubes, push rods, and cables. And as they complete the battle of the solar reactors, private pilot's licence, with a maximum take-off weight of just over £2,000 and a cost of somewhere in the region of £350,000 plus the inevitable VAT. If you can afford it, you can fly it. There's always something in Vic formation now for another of the quarter cloverleaf
manoeuvres that are such a good way of changing display axis. And they split on the way down. Trio of extras off to the left, the solo diving in from the right. Again, heading onto the night edge for the crossover. You can see the three other aircraft are now back in line of rest formation, performing a very tidy loop with rock-steady formation flying. And now watch the rejoin by the solo, and also watch the transition from line of rest into thick formation by the other three as the solo chases them down. Before extras then recovering to Fairford. A wonderful display by the Royal Jordanian Falcons, but now we're heading back in time to World War II.
BR4 in the hands of squadron leader Nathan Scheuer.
Now positioning to the right of the ground for the first full maneuver, which is a loop into a barrel roll, accelerating to 500 miles an hour.
Continued lateral rolling like that really does send the inner ear into
To maximum speed, with twice the speed of sound.
Those engines in full reheat give a beautiful orange colour, which is very nicely contrasted by that dark cloud.
Straight in front of us for a loop. Nathan's an instructor of the 29th Squadron, which is the operational conversion unit for the
But ultimately it has the potential for it to be exclusive source.
And we'd also like to say that the Typhoon display this year is raising money for a charity very close to RIAT, Arts Flying Tours for Disabled People, which the late Paul Bowen and our current Vice President, the show's former director Tim Prince, and rolling now underneath it, the aircraft I was talking about, from the Catalani group, the Fiat G91R 1A. Rotated between different fighter units. It was stationed initially at Rivolto's with base today with 6 F18s Sabres. In comes the formation.
F18s and the license. An experience with planes kilo developed in G91. The two aircraft share a remarkably similar layout, single engine, air intake just below the cockpit, square wings. So,
descending to about 120 knots, 25 degrees to the tank. And taking a sway line 230 metres with a slope line up. Danish Air Force, thank you for inviting us back once again to lovely Fairford in the final year of the F-16s in their air arms. I hope you enjoyed the Air Force's half-century fighting Falcon demonstrating flight, because this is the same jet as we saw last year at the F-16 50th anniversary marking. Go and see the aircraft.